The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the UNHCR, Mr. Antonio Guterres, held a press conference in Kuwait to express gratitude to His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, for the generous donation of $110 million to aid the UNHCR in assisting Syrian refugees and internally displaced people at the JW Marriott Hotel. More on this report with our correspondent Ghenwa Jabouri.
UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Mr. Antonio Guterres, warmly thanked and praised Kuwait after receiving an unprecedented US $110 million check from the State of Kuwait and His Highness the Emir of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, for assisting Syrian refugees and IDPs in a press conference at the JW Marriott Hotel.
I came to Kuwait to express my very deep gratitude and the gratitude of the UN Refugee Agency for the extremely generous contribution that Kuwait has given to our activities in support to the Syrian refugees, the Syrian victims. The Emir of Kuwait, the government and the people of Kuwait had the wisdom, the courage, the leadership to convene an international conference, to make a pledge that changed the nature of that conference because it was so generous, $300 million. And my organization that coordinates the effort to support the refugees, the Syrian refugees in the countries around, has been given $110 million to help the Syrian people. Now, this generosity has been absolutely vital for us to be able to deliver according to our mandate, to help a people that is suffering so much in a moment in which every single day 7,000 to 8,000 Syrians cross the border because of the violence, the killings that are happening in their country, seeking the protection of the neighboring countries. The generosity of Kuwait is something the international community should recognize, and I hope that the example of Kuwait will be followed by many other countries in the world.
Mr. Guterres explained the magnitude of the Syrian crisis, where he described it as one of the most tragic situations since the Cold War. He urged the international community to offer their solidarity with the Syrian people and hope that people extend their hand during these dire times.
The High Commissioner wanted very much to come out personally to Kuwait right now, given the scale of where the crisis is right now and the urgency with which we need more assistance. He came to thank the Kuwaiti Emir, His Highness, the government of Kuwait, the people of Kuwait, because this contribution of $110 million is really a phenomenal one. It's the largest one that UNHCR has received from the region ever, and it's the largest contribution from the region to the Syrian crisis. This crisis is unfolding at a rate that was unimaginable a little while ago. Now we're talking about 1.5 million people, probably by next week. Earlier we were anticipating 1.1 million in June. So it's going very quickly. The needs, as we're seeing, are increasing. But the reason why we're here today was just very simply to come and give a very, very heartfelt thanks to Kuwait for leading in terms of this region to try and alleviate the suffering that we're seeing day after day inside Syria, outside Syria, in the countries that are neighboring, and the communities that are hosting people also. I mean, one cannot forget that whether Jordan, whether Lebanon, whether Turkey, the host communities are being affected a great deal by the refugee crisis right now.
Mr. Guterres expressed his appreciation and gratitude to the Emir of Kuwait, the government of Kuwait, and the people of Kuwait for their generous support, and stated that Kuwait has taken an outstanding initiative, not only because of its financial aid towards Syrian refugees, but because Kuwait has donated money with no hidden agenda. And when asked if Kuwait had a condition of where the money should go to, the government of Kuwait's response was to dispense it to those that are most in need. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees came here today to personally thank the government of Kuwait for its generous support and financial aid towards the Syrian refugees. This is Ghenwa Jabouri reporting to you from the JW Marriott for English News.